It's great to have you back on campus. You're looking at this because you've had the opportunity to come back to NC State, to get back to work, and we're going to spend some time with you here making sure you're equipped to do it safely. As you've heard from our Chancellor, our aspiration is to open up the campus in the fall to our students, our faculty, and our staff as normally as possible. As we all know, in this coronavirus pandemic, normal is now different. And so what we're going to show you today is how we will address this new hazard. In the way we look at safety, we look at it in the sense of hazards. We've given you 10 hazards. Now we're giving you an 11th hazard, this coronavirus. And so we're going to equip you both mentally and physically to face whatever hazard is presented by this virus. So please, during the next little bit, pay attention to what Chad's going to tell you and others will tell you. Listen to your supervisor, and then put those things into action. As we've told you time and time again, we've discussed in our safety stand downs, you're responsible for creating the environment that is safe to operate in. No different in this particular hazard of the coronavirus. I wouldn't ask you to come back if I didn't think that you and I together could mitigate any hazards this virus presents. So again, we'll equip you with knowledge, we'll equip you physically with materials to aid in you doing your work safely, but above all, it's on you to listen and then put those things into action. As we come back to work and bring the campus back to life, everyone will be watching how we behave. From the people that are taking care of the grounds, from the mechanics that are in buildings, to housekeepers cleaning spaces, people are going to look at us to be doing the right things in the right way. So today, as we equip you to go back to work, again, pay attention and then put those things into action. We'll learn. This is phase 1 of opening back up. And we'll learn as we go through this phase. The campus won't be fully loaded, but there'll be people here. But we'll understand better how we conduct ourselves, how we do our business, how we interact, how we keep our distance from one another, and again, how we do that safely. We're going to be the ones that create the positive environment at NC State for the Wolfpack to come back to campus and get back at it. So thanks for being here. Thanks for taking on this challenge, whether you're at home or you've been at work. It's been different. And it will be different going forward. And I appreciate your flexibility, your resilience to get the job done. And again, great to have you back. And go Pack.
Hello facilities, and welcome to the safety training for phase 1. I'm Chad Schilling with the Safety Department, and I'm going to provide you some information on what to expect when you return to campus. We're going to have different protocols in place, different work practices, maybe different PPE. It's all going to be focused on keeping us safe. Our safety committee has put together a process for this, and we're going to continue that process. We identify hazards, evaluate those hazards, put controls in place, and then make sure those controls are effective. We're going to do the same thing for coronavirus. So, identifying the hazards. How is coronavirus transmitted? Person to person or through surface contact. Those are 2 methods. So we're going to build our protocols around that to make sure that we keep people safe, ourselves and others. So person to person, the respiratory droplets, we have to make sure that we keep that from a transfer from one person to another. So you may see about distancing requirements and also maybe PPE, depending on the situation, and we will cover that. Also surface contact. Touch something with the virus on it, then touch the eyes, nose, or mouth, there's a possibility of a transmission there. So again, the protocols will be focused on that. So we need to stay consistent, evaluating, looking for hazards, know our safe work practices, and make sure we put those in place. And throughout this training, you're going to get information on that. Please pay attention to it and put it into practice when you get here. So we're going to go ahead and begin the training, and we'll speak with you again soon. The state of North Carolina identified key metrics for determining when to start lifting restrictions. Based on the metrics, restrictions will be lifted in a 3-phased approach. Phase 1 began on May 8th. Phase 1 allows some businesses to open, but only if certain safety protocols are in place, such as social distancing, enhanced hygiene, and cleaning protocols, and utilization of face coverings. Additionally, gatherings remain limited to 10 people. Considering this, in Phase 1, we are going to take the following actions. Only mandatory on-site employees are permitted on campus for specific times and essential tasks as directed by their supervisor. Employees must stay at least 6 feet away from others. In-person meetings and gatherings must be limited to 10 people or fewer. Enhanced cleaning and disinfecting must take place, and employees who are sick must stay home. The best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to this virus. We all have an obligation to our families, friends, co-workers, and neighbors to know and follow the CDC's guidelines for slowing the spread. There are 6 actions that everyone must take to protect themselves from COVID-19. If you feel sick, stay home. Avoid close contact with others. Wear a face covering when close to others. Wash your hands often. Cover coughs and sneezes. And clean and disinfect. If you are sick, stay home. COVID-19 is highly contagious. Coming to work while experiencing symptoms risks exposing others. Most people with COVID-19 have mild illness and can recover at home without medical care. Do not leave your home when you're sick, except to get medical care, and don't visit public areas. Coming to work when sick risks exposing others, so stay home. Take the time to learn more about leave options through the Families First Act. If you have a fever, cough, or other COVID-19 symptoms, you should contact your healthcare provider and follow their instructions for when it is safe for you to return to work. If you develop symptoms while at work or observe another employee with symptoms, maintain physical distance and notify your supervisor. Supervisors will initiate protocol established by the university based on the circumstances of the situation. Avoid close contact. Follow local and state stay-at-home orders. Keep at least 6 feet, about 2 arms length, from other people. Do not gather in groups. Avoid crowded places and mass gatherings. Remember that some people without symptoms may be able to spread the virus. In Phase 1, we will limit the number of people on campus. Only mandatory on-site employees are permitted on campus for specific dates, times, and essential tasks, as directed by their supervisor. Teleworking continues for employees who can work remotely. Employees in high-risk groups remain off campus. According to the CDC, those at high risk are people 65 years and older and people who have underlying health conditions, including heart disease, lung disease, or diabetes, and people who have weakened immune systems, or those who are providing care to someone at high risk. If an employee identifies themselves as being high risk, managers will work with human resources to identify options for those individuals. Employees must stay at least 6 feet away from any other person. When 6 feet can't be maintained, employees must wear a mask or face covering. Employees must avoid in-person meetings and gatherings, but when they are necessary, limit them to 10 or fewer, spaced at least 6 feet apart. Also, work schedules will be adapted to allow for physical distancing, and some methods include establishing multiple work shifts with consistent work teams, so if a person on one shift becomes sick, workers on the other shifts are protected. Stagger start and stop times, break times, and lunch breaks to minimize gatherings in break areas, restrooms, or at time clocks. And encourage employees to clock in and out for work remotely using a cell phone instead of shared CABA wall clocks. Supervisors may also manually clock in employees in wolf time. All right, let's pause for a moment and recap what we just talked about. Stay home if you're sick and maintain physical distancing. So at every opportunity we have, we want to work as far apart as we can, no closer than 6 foot. But if we need to work within 6 foot, then we want to wear a face covering. You can choose to have your own personal face covering, or we'll provide masks for you and you can use those. I want to just demonstrate real quick just how simple it is to put the mask on. First thing you want to do is take some hand, if you're able, wash your hands with soap and water. If you don't have that immediately available, use some hand sanitizer. And you want to make sure that you cover all parts of your hand and allow it to dry. And then you can take your mask and put it on. You can grab it by the ear loops, and one side of it is going to have a metal piece in it that you're going to put on the bridge of your nose. It's that easy to put the mask on. To take it off, if you have available after you do your work, you can use your hand sanitizer. Put the hand sanitizer on, allow it to dry. Make sure you cover all of your hands. Take your mask off, you can fold it, and replace it back into your bag for storage. And next, we're going to go into a little more detail about how to use your masks and what the available options are if you want to use your personal face covering. Wear a mask or face covering when around others. You can spread COVID-19 to others even if you don't feel sick. The face cover is meant to protect other people in case you are infected. Face covers are not a substitute for physical distancing. Division-specific protocol for wearing a mask or face covering is as follows. Employees must wear a mask or face covering that covers the nose and mouth when 6 feet of physical distancing cannot be maintained. Face coverings are also required in common areas where close contact may occur, such as entering and exiting a building, moving through hallways, and when entering or exiting other common areas. Only one employee per vehicle. Employees may use personal vehicles to drive themselves around campus, but only university vehicles should be used to transport equipment and materials. Visual indicators such as floor tape or rearranging or removing furniture will be present to guide employees to stay physically distant in areas subject to employees gathering, such as at time clocks, customer service center, mailroom, break rooms, etc. When outdoors and 6 feet or more away from others, a face covering is not required. University-supplied masks or personal face coverings are acceptable on campus. Your supervisor will provide information on university-supplied masks, including use, care, and disposal. If you prefer to use your own face covering, it must meet the guidelines specified by the CDC, including it fits snugly but comfortably against the side of the face, secured with ties or ear loops, includes multiple layers of fabric, allows for breathing without restriction, can be washed and dried regularly without damage or change to shape, and has no ventilation valves. If you run into a situation where others are within 6 feet of your work area and not wearing a mask or face covering, ask them to please put one on. If they refuse, let them know you will return at a later time to complete the work and leave the area. Cover coughs and sneezes. If you are in a private setting and do not have your cloth face covering, remember to always cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when you cough or sneeze, or use the inside of your elbow. Throw used tissues in the trash. Immediately wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not readily available, clean your hands with a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Every individual is personally responsible for maintaining good personal hygiene. One of the most effective ways to keep from getting sick is to wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Cover all surfaces of your hands and rub them together until they feel dry. And try to make it a habit to avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Key times to wash hands are after you have been in public, especially if you touched an item or a surface that may be frequently touched by other people. At the start and end of each work shift, before eating food, after blowing your nose, coughing or sneezing, and after using the restroom. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces multiple times a day. This includes tables, doorknobs, light switches, handles, desks, phones, keyboards, and other surfaces in vehicles and on equipment. If surfaces are dirty, clean them with a detergent or soap and water prior to disinfection. Then use a household disinfectant. Supplies will be provided for employees to clean and disinfect. Employees must clean and disinfect their work area at the start and end of each shift, and vehicles and tools and equipment at the start and end of each work shift, or before and after each use when shared. Supervisors will obtain cleaning supplies and hand sanitizer from a designated area or shop personnel. Housekeeping will be cleaning services at increased frequencies, but we all must pitch in to combat the virus. We've covered a lot in a short period of time. Managers and supervisors have developed plans for employees to safely and positively return to campus, and they will share them with you. A lot has changed, but our mission has not. We will maintain this incredible campus and do it safely. Thank you for taking care of yourself and others. Go Pack.
All right, so now you've seen all the things that we're asking you to do. There's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of detail. But simply put, it's you taking charge of your environment. And each of you does that, then we'll all be safe. We'll all deal with this hazard of a coronavirus head on, and we'll make sure that we lead the pack in how we conduct ourselves on campus. So again, thanks for being back. Thanks for coming to work. Thanks for making NC State what it is. And again, above all else, be safe.